Hey guys, this is going to be a bonus video covering some of the rush count effects in the game. I alluded to this a little bit in the last gameplay video. The idea was to trigger some rush count effects that had been requested in the thread and then show it off during gameplay. Unfortunately, the rush count effect didn't seem to work out the way I had it planned it to, and once I learned what was going on, I came to the conclusion that this isn't going to be very useful for a gameplay video. It's not really going to add anything, so I decided to keep it separate. At any rate, before we get started, I do want to review what rush count effects are. If you're familiar with this, then go ahead and skip to the time on the screen now. Most of this is just going to be a rehash of my previous video. Man, I think it was over a year ago I made, discussing weapon upgrades. I covered rush count effects in that one. I'll try to keep it brief. So here in this screen we see Moira, our hermit, about to attack this ice blob guy. And she's using fire daggers, so that does double damage to ice. And we see the words ignition dash, that's the name of the attack she's about to unleash. There's actually two blob guys here. You can't see the other one, they're overlapping. I think he just got done splitting apart. At any rate, if you look in the upper left portion of the screen, there's a yellow 19. That's the current rush count at this moment in time. And that's been obtained by slapping around some of the common enemies. I wasn't too careful about it at the time. This is a pretty early video. At any rate, at this moment in time we have 19 for our rush count. Next, Moira follows through with her attack, and there you can actually see, yep, it is two blob guys. Next, the hits actually start to land, and we can make out some text that says one hit, and below it there's another portion that's hard to see, but it does say one hit as well. So she's hitting both blob guys. She's hit them once so far, and we see that number in the upper left corner has changed from 19 to 21. So okay, it added to the rush count, that makes sense. However, next, a bunch of numbers pop through. It's impossible to follow. We can make out a couple, what looks like 6 hits. So there's been multiple hits on this one attack. So it wasn't only one hit per blob guy. They're getting hit multiple times in this one attack. And the number in the upper left, the rush count number, is getting scrolled through pretty quickly. Finally, the attack ends, and we can see she certainly killed the two blob guys. And we settle on 39 for our rush count. So she brought us from 19 to 39. This is a little off topic, but it's always funny to see a 5-hit combo. As you're trying to zip around and grab items and all that stuff, you take a passing glance at this, and it looks like the enemy that got hit is saying, "Shit." Anyway, moving on. So the question is, why did that rush count number jump from 19 to 39? And the answer lies in the weapon she used. In that particular attack, she used some fire daggers, searing edges. If we turn our eyes to the upper screen of the DS, we get some more details of this weapon. And at first glance you can see, okay, it's only active during Chaos Phase. If we look on the Chaos Phase section, we see the words ignition dash, and sure enough, that was the name of the attack she used. Below that we see some numbers, 311 by 10. And what that's telling us is that it did 311 damage per hit for a total of 10 hits. And that explains why the rush count number jumped to by 20. She hit two blob guys, got 10 hits on each of them, so we went from 19 to 39. Here's another example. To the left of the Wisp is Hilgard in the middle of a movement. She's jumping from one square to another. What's important about this one is she doesn't have any weapons equipped. So unlike Moira, who had her daggers equipped, Hilgard's doing this without anything. This is called a normal attack in the game. In fact, you can even see from the inventory, we don't have anything in our inventory that would even be equipable in Chaos Phase. So why was I having her attack? I'm sure it was to move her to a different position on the field. But the important thing is that she doesn't have a weapon attached. Right now the rush count number is 136. And if we follow through, we see that she hits two monsters there. The game is pretty generous with what I would call splash damage during normal attacks. So she hits these two guys, and we can tell there's two different colors of gems. Each guy has the one hit pop up. That's because for every enemy hit during a normal attack, they only add 1 to the rush count. And we can see that. It went from 136 to 138. Finally, below the rush count number is a couple of vertical lines, and 2 of them are white. Those are the enemy lines, and they tell me when the enemies are going to start attacking. So we can see there's actually 2 enemies about to attack now. And one of them is that Lamina in the lower right, who's actually flashing white, so she's in the middle of starting her attack. And the other one is a red ogre to her right. And what happens next is, after the blow lands, we jump from 136 to 138, and suddenly some text pops up on the screen. Enemy attack lines hidden /. I don't know what the / is for. Anyway, if we look to the left, yeah, those lines are gone now. So I've lost the visual cue for when enemies are going to attack. That's an example of a negative rush count effect. And the question is, well, what caused it? If we look at the weapons equipped during that round, and it doesn't matter if the weapons are used or not, they just have to be in our inventory. We see one of them was this Icicle Blade, a duelist weapon that I'm sure I gave to Hilgard. Looking at the top screen, once again, we get more details. Looks like Freezing Spike is the name of the move. 183 damage and 14 hits. But more importantly, if we look at the little miniature duelist doing the attack, above that there's a little section where we see the text RC effect, rush count effect. And in this weapon, there's a 38 and a 40. Well, that explains why it tripped at 138. The rush count number matched the 38 on the weapon. So it doesn't matter if it's 38 or 138 or 238. Every time it rolls over, it has a chance to activate that rush count effect. Weapons gain rush count effects when they're upgraded, which I haven't done too much of in this Let's Play. Mostly because I don't really care for it. It extends the charge time of the weapon, although it does increase their power as well. So now we know how rush count effects work and what triggers them. We had some requests in the thread, and I'm going to go ahead and list them now so we'll see what we're trying to accomplish. First one, rush count 68. Time refills until the wisp is hit. And this is in the game's own words. So, sounds like I can charge someone up, attack with them. I spend 10 seconds charging them, we'll say. Then I kind of tool around a little bit and hide out, regain my 10 seconds, attack with a knight, lose more time, tool around a bit more, gain it back up. Basically attack infinitely. Sounds pretty sweet. However, we're going to come to find that most of these rush count effects don't work exactly how I picture them. The next one, rush count 91, the wisp's trail will hurt it. My reaction to this was, oh, it's going to be like a game of Snake. Were it so easy. Next, 96 was requested, moving brightens the screen. So, okay, sounds like if I move around too much, the screen's going to wash out and I won't be able to see what's going on. Another one that doesn't work quite the way I expected. Finally, 97 was requested, in which skills activate twice. So I charge up a knight and I attack, and the attack goes through 2 times. That sounds pretty sweet. Alright, we have our target rush counts. The next question is, how are we going to accomplish these? Well, first things first, we have to find the weapons that have these rush count effects associated with them and make sure they're on the field when we try. So without knowing where all of these rush count effects are in the weapons, I used an FAQ to tell me which weapon I needed and how I needed to upgrade it. The first on the list, I had a twinkle stick for priestesses, and by upgrading it to +7, it brought out 2 rush count effects. The first one being 60, we can see in the lower left here, and the second one being 68, our target. After upgrading, if we investigate the weapon, we can see 60 is critical attacks to the undead. So hey, that's not bad, that's a positive one. And then 68, time refills until the wisp is hit. That's our target. For the next one, we have a lance knight weapon, a Brasendo. I upgraded to +5, we can see here, and I gained 2 rush count effects in that manner. First one, 49, enemies will regenerate faster. Okay, so that's negative. And 91, the wisp's trail will hurt it. That's our target again. Moving on, for another one, I had to farm the leveling mode in this game to get this Zolfi +4 weapon. I think it was actually +3 when I received it from the leveling. Anyway, bringing it to +4 yielded us 2 rush count effects, 93 and 96. So, 93, darkness bullets do no damage. Well, that doesn't sound bad at all. And 96, moving brightens the screen. Finally, the last one, there's a duelist weapon called the Shin Zantetsu. I had to upgrade it to +7. Although, to be honest, I think I only had to bring it to +6, but I was kind of in a groove where I kept hammering on upgrade, 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 so I went 1 extra. Anyway, we can see from the bottom left, the 97, which was our target, was the final rush count we received. If we look at all the rush counts associated with this weapon, we can see 58. Any attack can break an object. Well, that's just flat out scary. What if there's a key item inside? Well, it's going to be gone. It's going to be removed from the screen. 85. MP is reduced to 0. Wow, great. And finally, 97. Skills activate twice. That's our target again. Okay, so now we have the correct weapons we need to achieve these rush count effects. But now the next question is, how do we actually pull off the rush counts? So for example, that last one, 97, skills activate twice. What am I going to do to bring the rush count to 97? I did all of this in the last stage we were at. If you remember from that last video, I kind of raved a little bit about the priestess's location. Karina, the priestess we recruited in that stage, was in just an awesome spot. Especially because she could potentially hit every single enemy on the screen. Well, I can use that to my advantage. We can rack up some rush counts really quickly if I take advantage of it. So I focus mostly on priestess weapons. The first one, of course, is the twinkle stick. We need that one equipped anyway to have the rush count effect in play. If we look at the top screen again, we get the usual descriptions, and I'm looking at the law phase attack here. 253 damage and 10 hits. So with 4 enemies on the screen and her possibly hitting all of them, she could pull off a rush count of 40 with just one attack. So of course that's going to be very useful. In addition, I checked out this bronze mace. This is only a level 9 weapon, which is fine. I'm not looking to kill these enemies necessarily. I just want to slap them around a little bit and get some hits off them and see if I can pull off these rush count effects. At the top screen we can see it's 168 damage, not very high, but it does 14 hits per attack. So heck, we can build up our rush count even faster with this one. The next one I looked at was a duelist weapon, the magical sword. On the top screen we see 647 damage, so this hits a little harder, but it does 5 hits. Well, that's convenient. Any enemy I hit with this will add a multiple of 5 to the rush count, so I can use that to my advantage, of course. Finally, the last weapon I looked at was another priestess rod, in this case the ice chalice. And on the top screen we can see 345 damage, but 7 hits. So I have pretty good range over how much I add to each rush count with these weapons. And at last, I also have Johann on field. In my attempts to get the rush count effects going, I didn't actually load any weapons for Johann, but he does serve a purpose. Remember, any knight that strikes using a normal attack can add up a +1 per enemy struck to the rush count, and that's very handy. Let's say our target is 68 and I bring the rush count to 62. Well, rather than chance something like using my magical sword to do a +5 and having some idiot monster wander in range and screw everything up, it's much safer to have a knight just use a couple normal attacks and add +1 for every enemy he hits. Johann's in a good spot for that. It can be any knight that does that, but Johann will have pretty good reach using normal attacks in Chaos Phase where he's standing. Okay, we have an explanation, we have a plan. Nothing left to do but pull it off. Let's see what happens. Here we go. My first one I'm going to do is 68. I'm going to do these in chronological order. So there's the twinkle stick, and sure enough, time refills until the wisp is hit on rush count 68. There's the bronze mace. Load up a magical sword for Hilgard. And then finally the ice chalice. Okay, we've got our weapons loaded. Let's load up our knights. Let's get Hilgard in there. Johann's on the field, and I leave Karina. Alright, let's just keep our nose clean, get some hits, get our rush count up to 68. So I don't let that charge fully. I'm not interested in killing these guys, I want to just beat them up a bit. With one attack, she brings the rush count to 42, that's pretty good. We're up to 63, we're within striking distance. Johann hits one guy, and of course raises the rush count to 64. Karina grabs another 2. We only need 2 more. There's 1. And there's 2. Okay, 68. Here we go. Rush count effect is active. Time recovers until hit /. So, it's recovering very slowly. This is going to take a while. Doody-doody-doo. Around this time I start to realize, this is taking too long. It's going to really stretch out my gameplay video. Are people going to find this interesting? I'm up to 50 seconds. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do an attack. Okay, still gaining time. Still gaining time. Nice. Alright, 2 key items pop out. Let's grab them. And wait, I'm not gaining time anymore. What the fuck? Well, I didn't get hit. I know I didn't get hit. Alright, what happened? I don't know what went wrong. So I guess, shit. I'll have to start over. Alright, I'll do it again and see what happens. This this is actually a little messed up. You can tell this was actually an earlier footage that I'm showing you right now, and you know because I'm loading up key items, I'm still trying to recruit Karina and fit this into the gameplay video. But you can also tell I'm kind of pissed because I'm just flipping through and loading everything up and going as fast as I can. So this is I don't know what attempt this was, but I'm like, yeah, you're recruited. Okay, let's go. I mean, this took me way too long to figure out what I was doing and why the effect was going away. So let's see if you guys can figure it out. 58, we only need 10 more. $68, good job, Hilgard. Time recovers until hit. Nice. Just keep my nose clean to stay out of trouble. And it's very slowly recovering time. Oh my gosh. Doody-doody-doo. Yeah, I mean, to me, this doesn't make very interesting gameplay for you guys. That's why I decided not to include it. Alright, I'm charging up. Nice job. And grab our key items, and I'm not fucking gaining time again. What the hell? Well, the problem is, I attacked, and so of course I landed a blow. Well, that changed the rush count. And so with the rush count being changed, the rush count effect of 68 is no longer effective. And that's the problem. So I really can't benefit off of this and attack. Well, unfortunately that took a lot of wind out of my sails. Here we go, 68, one last time. Time recovers, great. She lands her blow, rush count turns to 90, and then away goes our benefit. So at this point I decided, shit, alright, I learned something. I didn't know that about rush count effects, and it's a little disappointing. No matter, we still have 3 more to investigate. Let's check them out. Next one will be 91. That is the Wisp's Trail will hurt it. This is a fun one. Let's load up our bronze mace and our magical sword, and then finally the ice chalice. Hilgard, come on down. Johan, come on down. So this time, instead of 68, our target is 91. But we'll use the same tactics. We'll rack up some rush counts really quick with Karina, and then fine-tune them with whatever knight is handy. Engage. Break out. You shall be engulfed. Once again, with one hit, she brings us to 42. And I know if I do another one of those, it'll bring me to 84, so I load up the same weapon. Unfortunately, we only make it to 70, but that's fine.
I won't go easy on you. Glacial blade. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate. Attack. You and two. It worked.
85. We only need 6 more.
I shall purge the world of evil. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate. I shall purge the world of evil. Follow my lead. I shall purge the world of evil. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate.
Okay, 91 achieved. Wisp trails bullets. You can see the Wisp is shedding little bullets that are flying around. This is just pandemonium. I was cracking up pretty hard when I was doing this. You can't even focus because they're just flying everywhere. They only take off 0.1 seconds, but man, they add up fast. Look at this, I'm getting my ass kicked. This holy shit. Okay, yeah, that hurt. That was fun though. Okay, game. Okay. Game. Well, I can still draw and I still shed these little bullets, but come on, game. Ah, fuck. Okay. LR, select and start together to soft reset. Alright, let's try again. There we go again. Alright, here we go. Woo! Now, unfortunately, I can cancel this at any time, but just by charging the nearest knight and landing a normal attack. But what's the fun in that? I'm trying to show this off. You cannot even focus on trying to watch enemies or grab weapons. You're just trying to dodge these frickin' bullets. Oh, jeez. Ouch. Oh, I eat so much shit. Or that's pathetic. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Ah, fucking A. Yep. So in fact, every single time I did this, that happened, I would get frozen here. So if you're ever playing this game, do not end a round with this rush count active, or you'll regret it. Getting rid of the rush count seems to get rid of the problem too. But this was the final straw. This is where I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm adding this in the gameplay video. I'm not going to get this far and then have it freeze up on me. Okay. Moving on. Let's do, what's next? 96. Alright, moving brightens the screen. And I didn't bother to switch sides there. Good job. Another one that didn't work out quite how I expected. I did like this one though. Alright, we are locked and loaded. Our target is 96.
Engage! I won't go easy. Break out! You shall be engulfed. Follow my lead. Rule. I won't break out. You shall be engulfed. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate the enemy. I won't go easy on you. Glacial blade.
There goes our last magic point. And we're at 83. I don't have a choice now. I have to use normal attacks. So at 90 rush count, I would have been okay to use Hilgard to charge up her magical sword and gain 5 hits. But you get kind of timid doing that when you get so close, you don't want to screw it up. So instead I opted to just do a bunch of normal attacks. And oh look, Darkness Bolt immunity. Huh, hey, can't hit me, can't hit me. Ah, fuck. Alright, there we go, finally, we got 96. And the text says speed affects visibility. That's a little different than what we saw. But here I'm moving around, nothing's happening. Alright, let me stop and think. Oh shit. So in fact, moving does increase the brightness, but the trick is if I don't move, then the brightness goes away altogether. So I'm forced to keep moving. I found this really cool, this was fun. I just kind of stunk because I knew at any time I could end it by charging a knight and getting one cheap hit off.
I shall purge the world of evil. All my means will obliterate the enemy.
Alright, another one down. That leaves only 97. Skills activate twice. And knowing what we know now about the rush counts and the effects, you can probably guess how useful this one's going to be. Okay, the same song and dance, we just have to get our rush count up there.
You shall be engulfed. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate the enemy. I won't go easy. You shall be engulfed. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate the enemy. Glacial blade. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate the enemy. Attack! Fear my blade! It worked! I shall purge the world of evil.
Oh, fabulous. I tripped the all MP is lost rush effect.
Purge the world of evil. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate the enemy. I won't go. I shall purge the world of evil. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate the enemy.
I'm taking a lot of unnecessary hits here, aren't I?
I shall purge the world of evil. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate the enemy. I shall purge the world of evil. Follow my lead. We'll obliterate. No way! I missed. Attack! I shall purge the world of evil. Follow my lead.
There we go, finally. Alright, skills activate twice. Say your prayers, motherfuckers. You're getting double damage from here on out. So Karina at 32.9 vitality.
You shall be engulfed.
There's attack 1. And there's another one right on top of it. And of course that completely changes the rush count and it doesn't happen anymore. The rush count effect is gone. That only costs Karina her 0.5 vitality, so what you would expect from just one attack. But it's only a single use thing.
You shall be engulfed.
Yep, she only attacked once there. So limited usefulness. Alright guys, there you go. Those are the rush counts. Suffice it to say, the rush count didn't work like I thought it would, did it? Which is a little too bad. It kind of felt like rush counts would be the next level of complexity in the game. When you're first learning the game, you have to figure out how to attack, and once you get that out of the way, you move on to other things like how key items work and how to get them out of objects. Slowly you build on more and more with your knowledge. It seemed like rush counts would be the next level. Let's say I was targeting a rush count and I really needed it for some reason, and it was, let's say rush count 68. And I land a couple attacks and I end up on 43. Then, while dodging enemy attacks, you have to glance at the upper left to see where you're at. Oh, 43. And then quickly think, I need another 25. I know, I could hit 3 guys with the ice chalice, that'll get me close. But unfortunately, if the effects are so temporary, it seems like it's not really worth it. It feels like the rush count effects were intended to be more as a wacky one-off thing that wasn't intended to really change how you play the game, and certainly not something you would build for. Now, if you've watched this LP, you're probably shaking your head and thinking to yourself, hey idiot, you yourself have built around rush counts. And that's true, I have. I have used a rush count effect to my advantage and selected a weapon loadout to exploit it. If you remember the first time we fought Melissa, and also when we fought Aquina, I chose a weapon with the rush count effect of 3, which greatly reduced the charge time of our knights. And to be honest, I got some pretty good use out of that one. Now, why was it useful to me? Well, when I did that, it was mostly to get the key items out of the objects. That was my main intention. I wanted to be able to charge the knights quickly and then pound on the objects on the field. And as it works out, when you attack objects, they don't contribute to the rush count. So I was able to do multiple fast charges and beat on the objects on screen without changing the rush count number, and that kept the target rush count effect active. At the time, I didn't even know what I was doing, I just kind of bumbled into it. I assumed there was some kind of a hidden time limit or something like that, but if you review the footage, every time I hit an enemy and changed the rush count number, then the quick charge time would go away. So I managed to blunder into using the rush count effects to my advantage without really knowing what I was doing. And I'm still learning about this game, which just tickles me, I love it. On top of that, I know I have seen some rush count effects that had a timer bar at the top, which would indicate how much time the rush count effect would be active. So now it becomes a question of which effects have special rules and which ones are only active during a particular count. Or, if they're only available at the particular count, how can you actually use them? I suppose with the quick charge one, if you wanted to use it to fight enemies, what you could do, I guess, would be activate the rush count effect, then charge a knight really quickly, then put him on hold, move to the next knight, charge her really quickly, put her on hold. I suppose that way you could at least charge all your knights quickly once. But it doesn't seem very long-lived, does it? As soon as any of them landed a blow, then it would be gone. In the end, overall rush count effects seem either not fully fleshed out, or I'm trying to make them into something they weren't intended to be. Having said all that, I do have to come to the conclusion that it's probably best that the rush count effects are the way they are in the game. They're not as complicated or exploitable as I originally thought, and there's some potential for some crazy gameplay shakeups. Imagine if I had to play an entire round with the screen going dark on me unless I moved. While it does sound cool, I think in the end that would detract from the game, especially for new players who might not have any idea what the hell's going on. So I think they probably work best as random, wacky, easily avoidable or removed effects, and very temporary. Maybe if they make a sequel to the game, they could flesh them out a little bit more, but I wouldn't hold my breath on a sequel. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.